All right. Welcome everyone to Vista Center's Tech It Out with Vista. My name is Ryan, and I'm the Assistive Technology Department Manager here at Vista Center. I'm excited.
Excuse me, would it be
Yeah,
possible for you to speak a little more
sure.
loudly?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course. I'm excited and thrilled that you all are here. Please let me know if you need me to speak louder or if there is any interference. We are recording today's meeting. If you do not want to be recorded, you can turn off your camera and or exit the Zoom meeting. In a couple of weeks, today's recording will be available on our website at vistacenter.org under accessibility and then check it out. It will also be uploaded to our YouTube channel, so be sure to check that out as well. And then if you're there, give us a like and a follow. We will hold these meetings. We hold these meetings monthly on our first Friday of every month. As an attendee today, your name is automatically added to the emailing list and you'll receive meeting announcements and information about 2 weeks prior to the meeting itself. To ensure we all enjoy today's presentation, I will go ahead and mute everyone here in just a moment. And then during the Q&A, please raise your hand if you'd like to ask a question. I'll then call upon, and also Alice Sakamoto, my colleague, will also assist me with this. We'll call upon people in the order that their hands have been raised. And then when you're called, you'll need to unmute yourself. And for those not familiar with the Zoom meeting shortcuts, on a PC, it's Alt+Y to raise and lower your hand, Alt+A to mute and unmute your audio. On a Mac, it's Option Y. Let me go ahead and mute a few folks here. One here. Okay. It's Alt+Y to raise and lower your hand. Alt+A to mute and unmute your audio. On a Mac, it's Option Y to raise and lower your hand. Command-Shift-A to mute and unmute your audio. And then on a phone, it's *9 to raise and lower your hand, and *6 to toggle the mute and unmute on the phone. Without further delay, I would like to introduce you Taylor Yoke, the Director of Sales at Arovia. Taylor, I'll go ahead and pass it over to you.
Hey everyone, thanks for having me on today. Yes, my name is Taylor. I'm with a company called Arovia, and we make a super cool pop-up display product that is called Splay ZT. So ultimately, Splay is a very compact and very easy to use display that ultimately has eye health benefits as far as reduction of blue light, glare reduction, and as well as just the diffusion of the light so that it doesn't have the same kind of stress on your eyes that you feel when you're looking at a screen for prolonged periods of time. So really the way this came to fruition is we wanted to create a screen that anyone could take anywhere with them and anyone could use for as long as they want to. As simple as that. So ultimately, because of that kind of paradigm, we ended up making this super cool product. So I'll start by just going through the product, talking about how it works. And if you're able to see what I'm going through, feel free to raise your hand and ask questions as I'm describing and showing things. Definitely want to make sure you get a good understanding of what's going on with display. This is a product that does require some level of utilizable vision because it is a screen. It's not necessarily an OCR technology, but for those folks out there that can ultimately utilize the screen, but maybe it's only for 30, 45 minutes a day before we start getting eye fatigue and before we start kind of having that wear and tear on the eyes that we get from staring at that bright LED OLED screen all day. You're just going to be able to use display much longer because it's bigger and it's easier on the eyes. So ultimately, we have the Splay ZT right here. Believe it or not, there is a 25-inch screen that fits in this case. It's about the size of a Bose headphone case or like a binocular case. Like here's my phone next to it for scale. Essentially, it is about the size of a smartphone as far as height and width. And then super lightweight. It's under 3 pounds. So you can carry this in your backpack. Whatever you are carrying your assistive technology in, it just allows you to be more lightweight and take it with you. I run into so many folks. A little bit about myself is I actually have been in assistive technology and eye health for a while. I was an optician for years, working with low vision clients and just helping, find the correct glass prescription and things of that nature. And then gravitated toward the lower end of the vision spectrum to be able to support that with assistive technology when lenses are no longer able to do that trick. So with that being said, I was selling OCR tech, character recognition tech, stuff that does scene recognition, as well as in transitioning into doing like home safety programs so that we can do smart home systems so that folks are safe in their home, making their whole kitchen and their front door safe for intruders and safe for just burns and all the different household hazards that can commonly present a challenge for some folks. So I have a very wide view of all the tech that's out there. I've worked with countless different products and countless different clients in home. And one of the most common things I saw when I was going in and assisting these folks to set up their home systems is I was commonly running into they would have a desk sitting there with essentially this like old desktop magnifier CCTV system that's been sitting there collecting dust for who knows how long. And I'd always ask them, like, how often are you using this? And they're like, well, I would use it a lot, but I go work at the library. I like to go to the coffee shop. I like to go into the office when I can. Maybe they're going through the voc rehab program and they just got, a fun new job that they're super excited about. They're not doing much work at home anymore. In today's world, as everyone has experienced, becomes more mobile, more remote. We want to be able to operate wherever we want to. So because of that, we basically found a way to create that CCTV home magnifier that can go with you. And really the most important component of that is we all know that there's some small handheld magnifiers out there, but what's the compromise there? It's a 4-inch screen that we have to look at. So really it's almost like a catch-22 where it's like, now I can magnify this document or magnify this handwritten note to be able to interact with it better. But at the same rate, I'm looking at it on a 4-inch, 5-inch, 6-inch screen. And that's still going to give us the eye fatigue to be squinting and looking at this small screen, or B, you just need that bigger screen to be able to see it at all in some cases. So the display, when we open it up, first of all, there's a nice little hatch right here that exposes our interface. Our interface is going to be an HDMI port. So it's very simple plug and play solution. We don't have to mess with Bluetooth or Wi-Fi or any of that. We just plug in HDMI. We also have a USB-C port. That's just to charge this device. And then a USB-A port. This is power out, meaning you could plug your phone into this or your magnifier into this to charge your other device because this has a battery built into it. This is the power button here. All these are going to be tactile, and we are actually working with Louisiana Association for the Blind, who is going to be doing some manufacturing of this product. So actually it is assembled and packaged and shipped by low vision and blind folks for low vision and blind folks. So that's something that I really like about this product is they're actually refining it to make our tactile buttons better. We're looking at potentially adding a remote control so that you can control the interface without reaching around the back, which I'll get to in a moment. But ultimately, just know we are actively working on this product to always just make it better for our users. So your feedback is always incredibly valuable to me. I think we have an awesome, starting place here with the Splay ZT, but we're always growing. We're always making new products. And, your feedback, like I said, is very valuable. So this, to go back to the product, the tactile power button right here, when I press it, it's going to show me my charge. There's 4 lights on right here telling me 4 out of 4 full battery charge. So ultimately those lights can indicate how much of a charge you have. And then when I take this out, I'm just going to unzip this case. It just has a zipper that goes around the perimeter. And when I unzip it, it's going to reveal in the back, there is a projector with what we call the shroud attached to it. So I'm going to reach on this back end here and grab this projector end. There's a nice little handle on here that you can hold it very securely with this handle. You're not going to break this handle. It's literally like built into the projector. So nice and robust. And then essentially right now, you're able to see it's kind of dangling down, the arms are, but in an umbrella-like mechanism, I can actually push on this sliding clasp here. And when I push on it, boom, we've got a 25-inch screen. So I just went to this massive screen from this tiny little case. So ultimately, you can get the big screen where you need it. Now, this screen here is made out of a nanomaterial that we developed in-house. What this nanomaterial does is it diffuses the light as it comes out of the projector that's in the back, because this projector is shining onto our nanomaterial screen up front. Because that light is diffused, it is not as harsh on your eyes. Imagine the difference between looking at a spotlight and looking at a lamp. If you look at that lamp, it doesn't leave that like light scar. When you look at something else, you can still kind of see the lingering light. It doesn't do it as bad as a spotlight would because that light is diffused by the lampshade. That's essentially what this nanomaterial is doing. It's diffusing the light output so that your eyes are not getting as much light exposure. Also, the way the projector works and the screen works, we're able to reduce blue light output by over 70%. So as we all know, the blue light is one of the big things that really causes eye fatigue, can cause, if you're looking at your phone before bed for an hour and a half and then you have trouble falling asleep afterward, leading studies are basically saying that's largely due to blue light because it can kind of mess with your circadian rhythm and just kind of offset your brain into thinking like it's daytime when it's not, because blue light comes from the sun a lot. So with that being said, we've reduced the blue light by over 70%. And also, as you may have noticed, there's no glare on this screen. I'm actually in a pretty bright room, and no matter which way I turn this, it's a nice matte surface. So ultimately, you're not going to be adjusting your neck here, adjusting your neck there, and having your eyes do these little accommodations to see around the glare. The reason I highlight those three things, blue light, glare, and diffusion, those are actually the big three of why screens make your eyes hurt. It's because of light exposure, overall, blue light exposure, and then the glare that's causing your neck and eyes to do more accommodation than they would be doing, if you were just looking at something physically in the room. So with all that being said, super easy. So put away, get back out and expand. I'm just going to throw this up on a tripod behind me because it ultimately has a standard tripod mount on the bottom, and this thing only weighs 2 pounds. So you can put it on a standard tripod. The interface on the back side is very easy to use. We've got our power button, we've got our sound, we've got our brightness, and then this button here is called keystone correction. I can, if I wanted to, if you're a more tech savvy user that's really comfortable with technology, you do have the ability to remove the projector by unclasping this little clasp when you unzip the back of the shroud, and the projector can slide right out of the shroud. And use this as an ultra short throw projector, meaning within 5 feet of a wall, you can get a full 100-inch image. So you don't have to have it all the way at the back of the room, shining across and people walk in front of it and doing shadows, and all that stuff that happens with projectors. You can put it right in front of the wall and press that automatic keystone correction button, and that'll make it a rectangular image, no matter how you have the display set up. So even if it is like a little crooked, it'll automatically make that a nice rectangular image for you. So like I mentioned, there is some small parts that are required to put the corners in and out from the projector. So if you're tech savvy, I don't think you have any problem removing it. But ultimately, a lot of my users just prefer to use it in display or screen mode. And that's totally fine because ultimately, this screen is big enough for most folks. It's pretty large. So with that being said, I will turn this guy on now. And, one last thing. There is a slider here that is your focus adjustment. So ultimately, what I recommend is when you're using this almost entirely in display mode, just take a little bit of nail polish and put a little line right where the focus point is, because then you can tactily feel exactly, because this slides to the left and to the right to focus. When it's in the same position, it's always going to be in focus in that spot for the display mode. So I would recommend if this got moved in the case, or in transport, if I just had a little line right here, I would know, just align it with that and I'm in focus so that you don't have to fiddle with it when you turn on. But for the most part, it stays in place and you don't have to mess with that focus adjustment. But I just want everyone to be aware that if you switch to projector mode, you'll have to adjust that focus a little bit, but it's always going to be in the same spot when you are in display mode. So without further ado, I'll turn this guy on here. I'm just going to put it up on my tripod. I just have a standard mount tripod here. It's just got one of these little clasps, This will actually come with a full-size tripod, and it will also come with a power bank, so that basically you can get 2 to 4 hours of battery life out of this display without a charge. 2 to 4 hours is based on your brightness and your sound. If you have your brightness all the way up and your sound all the way up, as you could probably imagine, we are going to see less battery with more light and sound output. But with that power bank, you can get up to 8 hours of utilization without having to find a power outlet. And, I don't want any of my folks that are using the Splay when you're in a new environment to be, inspecting the walls, trying to find a power outlet. I just want you to be able to pull your power bank out, plug it in, and you're charging. Just want it to be nice and easy for you. The other thing I'd like to talk about is there is a Splay that you could buy that would just be the unit itself. You don't get the power bank, you don't get the tripod, but the Splay ZT package for our low vision folks ultimately also includes lifetime screen replacement. What that means is this screen is super durable. Like, check this out. I just broke my iPad. I just broke my computer. I just broke my phone. Like, I can whack this thing and it does not get hurt. The only way you can maybe damage this is if you were to cut this material. If you were to cut this material on accident, you send it to me, I send you back a new one, just like that. Because I can swap out these shrouds nice and easy for you. Like I mentioned, with the projector being removable, I'll replace that for you, lifetime. So you will always have a screen that works. So just be aware that if you're interested in this at all, I strongly recommend to work through one of the low vision providers that offers, assistive technology. In this case, in California, one of our close partners is Sterling Adaptives. They do a really, really good job with assistive technology. They're great people, Leslie, John, Kimberly over there. And ultimately, they do have demo units available so that, they could get it in your hands to try it out, make sure it works for you. But with that being said, definitely reach out to them rather than just, going on Amazon and trying to buy a Splay, because I want you to get all the accessories you need and lifetime screen replacement. That does not come with the typical version. And that, I think, is a really critical part, because just in case, it were to take a fall and that screen gets cut, I don't want you to be nervous. Maybe we got funding through some source of Voc Rehab and you've had this Splay that you love, and now all of a sudden you just broke the screen. And I know how that mini heart attack feels when it's like, oh my gosh, now I have to go back and redo my entire assistive technology, assessment and figure this all out again. I don't want you doing any of that. I want you to be able to send this in to myself or Sterling. We send you back one as good as new by the end of the week. So just to make it simple, I strongly recommend, don't just, go look for it online. I would reach out to Sterling or reach out to myself, and we can make sure that we get you in the right hands so that you get the care that you deserve and ultimately get you that all those extra benefits. And it's only $100 difference to get all those accessories and the lifetime screen replacement. So that's one thing I just want to be clear on with this. So now, while I was saying all that, I just screwed this little tripod mount on the bottom here. And now I am just going to set this up just like we would on any tripod. You just put it in and close the barrier here. If you have a tripod that you like, it'll fit on any tripod. So, you don't necessarily have to use the tripod that we provide, but it is just an option for you. So right now I've just got it nice and mounted up. I'm going to turn it on for us here. And basically, I'm just going to hold the power button for a couple seconds and it'll fire up for us. And the screen is just going to turn white. The colors that you're seeing on there are just because we're on camera right now. Typically, you're not going to see those colors flashing like that. So I'm just going to plug in my phone here, because the great thing about this, because it's just HDMI, is we can ultimately plug in whatever we want, whether we're doing a magnifier to get a bigger screen on the go, whether you're someone who really enjoys using your phone because you're really good with the accessibility settings on there. And I know especially a lot of younger users are just like, I want everything on my phone. I want to use my phone for all that's possible. I worked at some events that, are supporting middle school, high school age students. And let's just say I see a lot of folks walking around and they really, really want to use their phone, but they're so close to their phone that ultimately it's hurting their eyes even more. And so 3-4 hours into the day, they're switching to OCR when really they could be using a screen all day if they're using a screen that was more gentle on the eyes and a screen that was going to, ultimately be larger for them. So without further ado, I'm just going to plug in my HDMI cable here. And then I'll just throw on a little video so that we can all get an idea of the visual quality that we have going on with the Splay. This is actually a video. We have a 35-inch version that's coming out. So this screen is 25 inches from corner to corner, which in most cases is plenty large enough. But we also have the 35-inch version. So this is just a video about our 35-inch version. But I'll just kind of show it so you guys can get an idea of the audio quality. There's our CEO, Alex, who invented this thing. And so basically, we just have a really nice resolution screen. It has no pixelation. You can touch this. It's not going to smear finger grease on here at all. This nanomaterial screen is completely like water wicking. It doesn't hold oils. The only thing you're ever going to need to do to clean this is sometimes you might run a lint roller across it just to get like some hairs off of there. Other than that, though, I could pour a glass of water down the front of this thing and it would not hurt this screen at all because it's like a rubber screen. So basically, completely durable, completely water resistant. So yeah, it's going to be an output of whatever you tell it to. I've just got my phone plugged in right now with the USB-C adapter. And you can also, I unplugged it when I just held up my phone. That's why it cut out. But with that being said, same thing with the laptop. If you're doing a lot of work on a laptop, a lot of times folks are getting a larger, like 17-inch laptop. Sometimes we can have a bigger screen to be able to use. But then now we have this massive laptop that we have to carry around. In this case, we could get a smaller laptop and pair it with the Splay so that we could do all day of work on our Splay and we don't have to necessarily worry about using the screen on our computer and then sacrificing some of that eye fatigue that comes with it. So another thing to acknowledge is because this is a projector, when you get really close to this image, you're not going to see pixelation like you see on other screens because there aren't just individual diodes in the screen. This is a diffused, consistent image all the way across. So when you get really close to this, you're not going to see any distortion in pixelation. And so a lot of my folks, like to interact with their screen very closely to be able to see, whatever materials are going over. And in the case of the Splay, you're definitely able to get very close to it and not have the same issues with the eye exposure. So you can also adjust the brightness. If you're somebody who likes it to be nice and dim, we could go all the way down to this if you were in a dark room. But ultimately, the brightness all the way up is what I had it on just so we get an idea of the audio quality, visual quality. It also has a built-in speaker. I can adjust that on the back side. And then we have the ability to switch to projector mode if we wanted to. So with all that being said, that's the Splay. It's very easy to use. You turn it on, plug and play with an HDMI. Who's using it and why? We have people using it really at all stages of life. There's younger folks that are using it in an educational setting or in a home setting. I mean, I have parents that have told me like my kid has never been so engaged by something. It was the first time I've ever been able to cook a whole entire meal and my kid was not wrapped around my leg in 10 minutes. Like they sit down and this thing is just like, it looks like magic when you see it in person, to be honest with you, because it has like an extra like 3D image, the way that we diffuse the light. And so it just is really eye-catching. So for kids, it's very engaging. We've got a lot of special ed classrooms that have been purchasing these units to use as educational tools for students, as well as for older age students that ultimately need it in like an IEP or need it in like a 504 plan, because they just are unable to interact with a lot of their tasks in the day that require a smart board. And they can't necessarily look at a smart board that are becoming more and more common in a classroom for more than a couple hours, or they're getting headaches, they're getting eye fatigue, they're getting dry eye. We want to work around that, put a Splay up by their desk, and now they have a screen to see everything that's happening that they can look at all day. And then they can take home with them and use for entertainment, use for gaming, use for all the things that kids want to do, So ultimately, it's really nice as a productivity and a personal tool. Folks who are getting a little later in life, approaching college, approaching the workforce, this becomes a really, really amazing productivity tool. One of my super users is an art therapy student in Kentucky, and she has actually went back to school to get a graduate degree. She's a low vision user herself, and she was actually pushing an assistive technology cart around campus for up to 100 pounds. Like literally every day she would load up this cart and push it class to class, to the library, to everywhere she went. She basically now uses her phone, her laptop, and her Splay, and she carries a backpack. Like, I think we all know how big of a change that is from being somebody who ultimately has more trouble navigating campus already. And here, I'll just restart my video here. Actually, I'll just turn this off so that we're not, it's not distracting in the background. To turn it off, basically, you just hold the power button. And then when I want to put it away, I'm just going to take it off my tripod here, unplug my HDMI. I'm going to unscrew my little tripod mount. And you don't have to use this on a tripod. You could just set it on a desk if you'd like to. But I just put it on a tripod so that it was set up nicely behind me. And when I put it away, I'm just going to pull on this cuff. It collapses. And then I just fold these arms in like this, and I can go right into my case. So really, I can go from my backpack to setup in 30 seconds, and I can go from setup to backpack again in another 30 seconds. So essentially, to kind of circle back to who's using it and why, is in that productivity space for a college student or early in the workforce is, it allows you to be mobile just like everyone wants to be. You can do your work in whatever environment you want to. You can use your magnifier that you may already have with the bigger screen. You can use a bigger screen for your laptop. You can use a bigger screen for your phone. This isn't one of those pigeonhole products that's like, you just use it for this here. It's like, do you use a screen? Have you ever experienced eye fatigue? Probably. I would gamble to say the Splay would help you. I mean, it's very easy to transport, very easy to use. And I mean, we've had some of these out for years and we've never had any problems with the projector failing, anything like that. So with that lifetime screen replacement, the life of this LED bulb is 10 plus years. So as we're rolling out new technologies, we can always upgrade and do cool things like that. But ultimately, this technology is going to continue to work for you. So for those Voc Rehab folks that are using it for productivity on a screen, on their computer, laptop, tablet, phone, magnifier, all of the above, they stand to gain a lot from that productivity aspect. Now, as we're getting later in life, I actually have a lot of folks that are part of the VA system that ultimately either have age-related vision deterioration, or maybe, they've been diagnosed with a condition and they're starting to lose their vision later in life. These individuals are a lot of time folks of leisure. And how big is the display, Roberto? I'll just jump in quick. This one is 25 inches corner to corner. So much larger, about 2 to 3 times the size of a laptop screen. And then we also have a 35-inch version that's coming out later this year. And I'll just pop it up quick so you can get an idea of how big it is, because it's a massive screen. This is the 35-inch version. And essentially, to compare, here's a 25-inch case, here's a 35-inch case. So it's just slightly longer, but approximately the same size, still nice and easy to transport. It's got a little carrying handle here, as well as a spot to clip on a longer strap if you'd like. But same idea. I'm just going to unzip the perimeter of my case. It's got the little projector handle in the back here that I'm going to grab. And essentially, the arms are longer, the screen is bigger. So when I expand, I got to back up to expand this one because this thing is a big old screen. So basically, boom, we got this monster. So really, whenever you're maybe using this as more of a general television, or you're just somebody who likes to have like 2, 3, 4 screen setups, you could replace a 4-screen setup with just this 35-inch display. Like, it is huge. And this one, I definitely recommend to throw it up on a tripod, just because it does have a little more depth on it because it is such a big screen. But when you put it on a tripod, then you're not going to sacrifice your desk space as much as you would. You could just have it set off to the side of your workspace so that you're not taking up that workspace. You may have your documents, your magnifier, your phone, laptop, all that set up. So that's why the tripod is nice to come with both models. Will come with the tripod because ultimately you don't have to, eat up your workspace with your display. You just set it off to the side, have your big screen, and then you have your workspace. So that's how most of my folks are using it. But yes, this one is the 35-inch that's coming out at the end of this year. So yeah, humongous. We're going to keep making them bigger and bigger, and the case is smaller and smaller. So as we move on in the future, you're just going to see us putting out even bigger screens and cases that are even more compact and portable. But this is the latest and greatest that's going to be coming out. And a little fun fact on this is we use the same projector on both systems, so they're interchangeable. So if you did have one of the 25 inches and then the 35-inch came out and you're like, I might like that 35-inch one, we can work out the best way that maybe we just send it in. Now, if you're a tinkerer and really tech savvy, it's the same process as switching the projector in display mode. If that's going to be difficult for you, by all means, you could send it into us, Sterling, whoever the appropriate person is. Maybe the folks at Vista can help you out. We can always discuss that. But ultimately, we could swap that shroud out for you in a matter of minutes and go from a 25 to a 35-inch screen with the same projector. So it's a matter of what you're using it for. Some folks like the 25-inch more as just like their go-to display to plug into everything that's super portable and easy to use. Some folks are like, I go to the same place every day in my office and I'm working, but I want to take this home because Sam from the Blind Life, actually, we sent him one of these videos to do a review on it. And I would definitely encourage everyone to check out that video. If you just look up Splay Sam Blind Life on YouTube, it'll pop right up for you. But something that he found is, he said it was the first time he's ever been able to watch a movie in bed. He actually put the Splay up on a tripod right next to his bedside and just had the Splay angled toward him while he was laying back in bed. He watched the whole movie. So, I mean, to speak past the productivity, it really is just like a personal enrichment tool ultimately that you can use to engage with all the media that we want to in the way that makes sense for your eyes. So in kind of tying that back into the older, more elderly user is, we might be a person of leisure that isn't doing a lot of hands-on work and spreadsheets and things of that nature, but we all want to watch the ball game. We all want to watch our grandkids' high school football game, whatever it is. This thing is super lightweight. Throw it up on a tripod next to your chair, next to your bed, wherever you want to watch it, on the back porch. Take it to the pool with you. It's got a built-in battery. And then you can just watch what you want to watch, where you want to watch it. And you're not having to rearrange your whole living room to be able to accommodate for you to be able to see the TV well. And then after an hour and a half, you have to turn the TV off and turn on the radio. These are the things that I was hearing when I was doing all these home installs. I had people asking me all the time, hey, do you have a device that could read the score of the ball game out to me from the screen? And that was just like heartbreaking to me, because it's like that was their passion, is watching those sports and engaging with their team. And I just don't want that to be the case. I just want you to be able to use your screen where you want it. So across kind of all walks of life, depending on what your main go-to tech is, Splay is just kind of the best way to look at the screen that you have, and it can travel with you easily. I take it with me in my carry-on bag. I fly all over the country with this thing. Just like at TSA, you just take it out like you would your laptop. I've never got any questions about it, and you're on your way. So ultimately, incredibly easy to travel with, incredibly easy to use. So I will pause there. I have thrown out a whole lot of information, wanted to talk about how it works, why it works, and who's using it. But please, anybody, feel free to jump in with any questions, concerns, points that you thought were just cool, anything that caught your curiosity as I was speaking.
Thank you so much, Taylor. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I don't see any hands raised. If you do have questions, feel free to raise your hand, or it is a smaller group, so if we need to, you can just unmute yourself and then we'll just take turns.
How much does this cost?
Yes, so it is $13.99, just under $1,400 for the whole system with all the warranties and everything. So basically, about half the price of what a CCTV would be, if not less. In this case, we're kind of talking about products. I mean, this is a very specialized device, right? This isn't just like a TV that we can go get for $250. Highly specialized nanomaterial. It's actually a specialized projector in the back. We developed the arms on it. We invented new types of glue. We invented new types of fabric. We had to do all kinds of cool stuff to make this thing a reality. With that being said, comparatively, $1,400, and then an extra $200 for the larger version. So then that one will be $1,600. But once again, to put it into context, if you already have a phone that you use that camera for magnification, and you buy a Splay for $1,500, I mean, ultimately you're in about 1/3 of what you would have spent if you got like a CCTV system, like a mobile CCTV system. I see those going for like $3 to $6 grand sometimes, especially if they're not mobile. And I can give you the same screen size, actually bigger screen size than the stationary CCTV systems, but mine can travel with you for 1/3 of the price. So ultimately, I have a lot of folks that have had these CCTVs they've always used, and it's like, this is a no-brainer. So yeah, I know cost is front of mind for a lot of people, but ultimately we're always trying to work with folks as well. And I used to call myself the bulldog. I go find funding for my people. When I had folks that didn't have access to a certain funding source, I would not rest until I found them a funding source if they did not have the financial ability to purchase not just a Splay. This is back when I did all assistive technology. In fact, I was calling up Congress in Missouri because I found a waiver system that they wrote the legislation wrong and didn't fund it properly. And I think I spent about 3 months yelling at people until my folks in Missouri could actually access the funding that legislation told them that they had. So with that being said, I never want cost to be like an impediment to you getting something that's going to help you. So, you know, if that's something that's hot on anyone's mind, please do give me a call. We can chat about it, figure out, you know, either a funding source, or I have nonprofit institutions that sometimes can, you know, provide free technology. So we can always figure it out.
Hello, this is Roberto. I don't know if you
Hi,
guys can hear
Roberto.
me.
Yep, loud and clear.
All right, so you and me are very alike in that sense. I am very in the sense of trying to find funding source, trying not to make sure people don't get left behind. But either way, with that being said, I was curious to know of the size of the device. You said, you know, you can get a 25-inch or a different size. So for example, the 25-inch, how small is a case?
So the case is about the size of like a Bose over ear headphone case. So if
That's
you're
for
able
all
to
of them,
see,
or?
yeah, so the entire 25-inch screen fits in this case. The 35-inch screen fits in this slightly larger but still very portable case. Like here's my phone next to it for scale. I mean, it's about as tall as my phone is, and then I mean just a little bit longer than my phone this way. So really, it's about 6 by 8 inches and only weighs
Oh, 6
under
by 8
5 pounds.
Oh, I see. Okay, so 6 by 8 inches. That makes a lot of sense. And then if it's um you said it's about 8 hours of battery life.
So with the power bank we provide, yes, on a single charge, it'll last 2 to 4 hours based on how bright you have it and how loud you have the sound set. If you have no sound and you're using it in a dim room with the brightness turned down, you're going to get up to 4 hours of battery life.
And then
If you
you
got
said
the
it took
sound turned all the way up and the brightness all the way up, you'll get about 2 hours. But that's why maybe the power bank is you can plug it in while the display is still running and it will charge faster than it loses energy. So when you're plugged into your power bank, it'll just keep running and it'll charge while you're using it. So with that power bank, you can get up to about 8 hours of battery life without
and
having to
then
find an outlet.
you mentioned it takes about a minute to what do you call it? Set up. And I'm
Yeah, I
assuming it
usually
takes
say
about another
expand,
minute to load.
collapse. Yeah. Sorry, say that again, Robert.
It
I
would
kind of
take,
interrupted you rudely.
oh no, I said you said it would take about another minute to load up and everything.
I mean, I can go from, if I had this in my case, I can unzip it, expand it, turn it on, plug it in. I could do that in under 30 seconds. Same thing to put it away. So I mean, ultimately I unzip, pull it out of my case here. I'm going to expand my screen. I'm going to turn it on here with the button in the back. Once this thing fires up, takes about 5 seconds to turn on, and then I'm going to plug in my HDMI and I'm rolling. So, I mean, I could, if I was hurrying, I could do that in like 10 to 15 seconds.
I know Bob is going to go, but Roberto, I just wanted to say one thing. It's kind of like if you know about the windshield screens that they have where they kind of pop open. It's that screen is sort of that style, if you know, as far as like if you were going to do it manually. I don't know if that makes sense, but so should we let Bob talk?
Yeah, get in here, Bob. Let's hear you.
That's okay. Thank you for the presentation. That's pretty remarkable. I really like the scale of display. One thought that I had when you were talking about the power lights, that there were 4 different power lights to give you the state of charge. Perhaps you could consider in the future adding tone to those so that you could get like 1 tone, 2 tone, 3 tone, 4 tone, and you could tell the state of charge.
Yep, absolutely. And that's something we've discussed with our Louisiana partner before. So essentially where we're at is we have this custom projector we made, and we have some new innovations we want to do in our projector. And at which point we'll kind of like redesign our projector, you know, and add some new bells and whistles. And we're looking at doing that within the next year and a half. And at which point, when we re-engineer it and kind of open it up and rework it, that's the point that we're thinking we can put a receiver in there for a remote if it makes sense. And, you know, also add something like a tone feature. Because, you know, it already has the speakers in it. It already has the ability to tell what the battery life is at. So yeah, that'd be relatively easy for us to add, and definitely something that would be valuable for us to do. So I appreciate that, Bob.
And so your remote would basically just replace the buttons that are on the projector?
Yeah, so the buttons would still be there, but the nice thing is if I was sitting here and I had my Splay set up behind me, I wouldn't have to reach around to the back to adjust my brightness or sound. I could
Gotcha.
just have my remote that I could just adjust without having to find those buttons. So yeah, just a nice little feature to maybe save you 10 seconds if you were to adjust something.
And is there a way to plug in auxiliary speakers?
So great question. And that will all come from the output device. So if I had my laptop plugged into this, I would be able to Bluetooth my laptop to whatever my favorite speaker is, or plug in via aux cord. Yeah, so it would come from the output device, whether it's my phone, laptop, or tablet. I could just pair it with whatever sound system that I wanted to, and then just use the display function of the Splay.
Great. Thank you. Love your product.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, I just wanted to say the same thing. I mean, it's first of all, great presentation. And then but the invention is really, really fantastic. I mean, it's just so well designed. Along the lines of what Bob was saying, as far as tones go, is that now I kind of missed part of that, but what I was thinking is of, you know, let's say with CCTVs, you have modes, you know, they're just generically called modes. Is that something that would also be could be done, or would that be on the part of the device that you're using?
So are you referring to like different contrast settings and like background, foreground color?
Yeah.
Yeah. So typically that will come from the output device. So I mean, for example, like here, let me, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pop up my Splay really quick, and I'm going to show a video that was actually just from the event in Houston. I can't remember what the acronym is off the top of my head. ACBA? Is that what was just in Houston? Does anybody know?
ACB.
There's a ACB. Okay. So yeah, that was in Dallas. Sorry, mind blanking here on everything. It was in Dallas last week, and we had one of our reps over there with the Splay, and she was able to set it up with just like a whole bunch of different cool magnifiers. And just to give you an idea of kind of what it looks like when we are what it looks like when we're using it in that way, I'll just show one of these videos so you can get an idea of it set up. Let's see here. So for example, this was taken in vertical, but so because this was taken in that direction, here, let me go back. But I don't know how well you can see that, because unfortunately it was taken on a phone camera the straight up way instead of the sideways way. But essentially, you know, there it is set up with here, maybe I can rotate that one. There we go. So there it is set up with the CCTV. She's holding the Splay right behind it. And, you know, the CCTV is outputting yellow on blue. And the Splay just has the same feedback that has. And then like here's another one of it reading. Okay, that's another vertical video. So, but there it is reading through like with the OCR type system. So yeah, whatever your output device is, you can toggle all your contrasts. And like, for example, one that I've used it with quite a few times is LVI Magnalink S camera. Is just a very nice, easy to use mobile magnifier camera, easy toggle between all the different contrast settings, and ultimately the display or the Splay will display whatever output it provides. So yeah, typically that will come from the output device, but you will get excellent performance in all those different modes for whatever, whatever color setting works best for you.
Yeah, thanks.
I was
Yeah,
wondering
see what
about
else?
your speakers. I use amplification that I plug into my laptop. Are there, could I plug that in and it amplified? I don't know what it's called, but it goes to my headphones.
So the Splay speaker will be louder than like a computer speaker would be. But ultimately it is, the speaker is limited by size, so it's only about the size of the palm of my hand here is the size of the projector. So because of that, it, isn't a massive speaker, but it is louder than a laptop would be. So you can get some pretty good sound output. If you wanted to just use your headphones though, what you would do is you would pair your headphones. Let's say if you had an iPad that you wanted to have a bigger image on your iPad and put it on a Splay. I would pair my iPad to my headphones, and then I would plug my iPad into my Splay for the visual aspect. And then you would be able to hear everything through your headphones and see everything through the Splay.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Tom, go ahead.
Yeah, this is Tom. Can I go ahead?
Yeah.
Yeah, the LVI MagnaLink, what were you saying about what's the full name of that?
So it is the MagnaLink S, MLS camera for short. And there's various mobile magnifier cameras. It'll really work with any magnifier that has an HDMI output. So it's not too picky. But I've just used it personally with the MagnaLink S camera many times. And I can give you other recommendations of ones that it pairs well with, as well as Sterling ultimately is going to be the true experts. Because I mean, Sterling will have their like AT lab, that they could physically go magnifier to magnifier with your, Splay and be like, oh, which one do you like it the most with the output? But the MLS MagnaLink S camera from LVI is a great option because that one also has a portable case, and it also has lots of different modes for like, the color output settings that you like. And it's very easy to use because it just has one little knob that controls the entire device. So ultimately with that knob, you can control the device and then your Splay outputs, what that camera is seeing. So it's a really slick system, and I've got some like pictures and video. And so by all means, like after this meeting, if you're like, hey, I'd love to see those videos you showed, or I'd love to, see it paired with the MLS or paired with an iPad, whatever it is, like, feel free to email, call, text. I'm very accessible, and I want to be, a resource to you guys.
And where's the Sterling located? Where
Sterling has multiple offices, but I believe their home office is in, let me double. Yep, Santa Rosa is their main showroom.
Okay, and if you want to give out your number.
Yep, I will put it in the chat right now.
And then I also have the contact information, Taylor. And so if that's fine, then I'm happy to send that out to folks as well.
Yeah, by all means, send it to anybody and everyone. I love to hear all the feedback and answer any question that I can. Because I mean, like I said, I've been doing the assistive technology stuff for a while, and the way I operate is like, if it isn't going to help you, like, I don't want you to get it. Like, I'm not someone that's just like, here, this is going to solve your problem. Like, if you have questions and you think this is something that could improve your like quality of life or productivity, like, call me, we'll talk it through, we'll figure it out. And, Sterling is awesome too. They can answer a lot of questions. They have a demo unit of the Splay to get hands-on with it. And just one thing to note is we are currently low on inventory and we are producing more. So we will have a whole bunch of inventory coming in a couple months. So we have a little bit of time to kind of figure out how exactly, if it does fit, how we're going to get it. You know, if you're working with a certain program to get your assistive technology, by all means, let's start that conversation. You can chat with me. I can loop in the appropriate person at Sterling that kind of has the local resources that they have access to, Voc Rehab, VA, et cetera. So yeah, by all means, feel free to reach out and we kind of talk about that runway.
Yeah,
We
Tom.
also, oh, go ahead, Alice.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, Tom, yeah, so we work with Sterling Adaptive, so we know them, and they've actually presented at our Low Vision Expo that we've had in Santa Cruz. Quick question for you, Taylor. Do you think you'll add any other providers, or is it just going to be specifically Sterling?
So we have providers all over the U.S. For the California area, Sterling is our closest partner. We do have other partners in the vicinity, but the reason I recommend Sterling is just I've worked with a lot of low vision distributors, and I'll just say they are very kind and they're good at what they do. Some folks, not all companies are created equally. And so I've just had very good experiences with Sterling, the way they operate and the way they treat people. So I do have goals of, potentially onboarding more distributors in the area. But my recommendation right now would be to touch base with Sterling, because ultimately one of their new reps, who actually is in the Nevada, Utah area now, her name is Kimberly. She actually is probably like the third most knowledgeable person about Splay out there. So that's the other reason, is like they have expertise on Splay. I've had the opportunity to talk to every single person at their company, educate them on the product. They have demo units. Like, they're just in a very good position to be able to help. But after this meeting, Alice, if you have a recommendation on somebody you guys work closely with that I should be in communication with, my ears are always open.
Okay, thanks. And yeah, just so you know, I have a number of clients I think would be very interested in this. Just right off the bat, I can think of several. So yeah, it's great. Like I said, great product.
Thank you.
I know you know that.
Hey, I mean, I typically just like to have things in my bag that help people. And like, I ran into the CEO of this company, Alex, at a low vision conference in the middle of nowhere in Missouri. And I saw this thing and I'm like, dude, we need to do something with this. Like, I was just like ecstatic about the product, that I could just see how all these people would be using it. Cause like, I was coming fresh off of doing all those home installs, just like I said. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I helped 5 people this week that like would just be ecstatic if they could have a Splay. And so I was like, that we just need to amplify this. People just needs to know it exists, because there's really nothing else in the world that does it.
Yeah, and there's so many uses, like you said. I mean, just so many uses for it. So yeah. Interesting.
I think a great point on saving some money that you pointed out is I was looking at getting a larger, heavier laptop, more expensive, that I can't see. So then I would be able to get the smaller, and with that. So I think that's a great savings, as you pointed out, and the anti-glare is key.
Yeah, it would be really great to see the display in person. As far as like the non-pixelization of it, sounds really intriguing.
Oh yeah, it's like impressive. The first time you see it turn on in person, it just has such a unique image because of the diffused light and the like non-pixelation of it. So definitely encourage. I'm trying to think if there's any events that I'm going to be at in California in the near future that I'll be in person. But, if it makes sense, I'd love to come out and do an in-person demo with Vista. I'm always traveling and always, trying to make sure we can get hands on the product, because ultimately it looks even better in person and it's even more fun in person. When you get to like touch the nanomaterial screen, it feels like really, really unique and soft. And it's just like a very like pleasing product. And then the image it's really crisp and nice in person as well.
This is Bob, and I would think pairing this with a iPad and a Bluetooth keyboard, you wouldn't need a laptop. I mean, you could even get smaller in size with what you're carrying around.
Yeah, exactly.
The screen,
you're exactly right.
Your iPad and a Bluetooth keyboard. You're good to go for anything.
Yep.
Yeah.
In fact, that's actually one of the uses that I'm thinking as far as one of the clients. Exactly that. Yeah, no, that's great. Good.
Yeah,
Or
essentially a desktop
or
computer.
even without the iPad, just your phone and
Yeah.
a Bluetooth keyboard and the screen.
Right.
You could do everything that you could do on a laptop.
Yep.
Yeah.
Taylor, this is Ryan. Thank you so much for the presentation. I have a question. Being a low vision myself, and I'm also you have most of the assistive technology team here at Vista here on this call right now, and Alice being one of them, Morgan, Roberto, who was speaking with earlier. All of us basically do what you did in the past. Minus the optometry. But so so thank you. And this is quite wonderful. A question, with the larger screen, specifically the 35-inch, would there potentially be like an input that you could put into the device to where you could plug in two different things? Like, so for example, there are magnifiers like the Revo Duo that have two screens, one to have like a further projection. So let's say someone could see the instructor or the board in front of them, and also what their laptop is doing or their iPhone is doing or whatever. And so you could potentially split the screen. You could toggle between one or the other. Potentially it would be very easy with the remote. Is that any sort of idea? Have you guys thought about that at all? Because I feel like that would be a really great feature for a lot of the students that I work for.
Yeah, completely agreed, and great observation, great point. So currently it would essentially be coming from an output device, so if you had something like a receiver that was able to just switch between the two signals, which I could vet that product for you if you'd like. And also my partner in Louisiana has been doing this for a while. Like I was like, oh, I'm looking at power banks. They're like, we've gone through 100 different ones. We have the best one. I was like, okay, so they probably have a good recommendation for that. But either way, it would be an external hardware right now to be able to do that. But that is a great recommendation and something that I'd imagine we could engineer in pretty easily. So in that conversation about, V2 of the Splay ZT, that could definitely be something that we incorporate. And I think we should talk more about that.
Yeah, definitely. And then even being obviously so portable, having it portrait style instead of landscape would really give you that larger screen, I don't know, 15-inch, if it's 35. So at 17.5 inches per half if it's portrait style, and then you'd be able to see both screens potentially. I don't know, just as an idea of something that I'd be interested in using, and then again for students and so forth. But that's amazing. And then just for what it can do just today, is if this is all it was, it's hands down just remarkable.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And for the price too, that most folks that have visual disabilities, a lot of them struggle with having great finances, and so income basically is a struggle. And so thank you for your passion with trying to get folks the devices they need, so that they can be independent and successful in career-wise or school-wise or just daily life. But also the price, yes, $1,500, $1,700 is a lot, but it is not $6,000 what a desktop CCTV of what they would be able to do. Plus it doesn't have quite obviously the versatility that this screen, the Splay does have. And so I think that it's right on point in regards to price point, and it's much more achievable and accessible to folks financially. So we appreciate that as well. Definitely.
Yeah, we always try to be cognizant of that, because ultimately, we don't want people to be left behind because of costs. Like, simple as that. That's just unacceptable for us. So that's one of the reasons, like, we work so closely with Louisiana Assistive Technology Department, is is they give away a lot of tech for free, which is just fantastic that they can do that. In fact, I've gotten local power companies to pay for assistive technology before. Like there's no stone left unturned when I'm searching for funding. That was a unique case, but yeah, we literally got a local power co-op to buy a magnifier system for a gentleman. So I'm not sure how or why, but we got him to do it. So
you know, it's so true, because I really like that you said left behind, because so many folks, everything's moving so digital that you really do get left behind if you're not using a technology. And with folks that need assistive technology, if they're unable to access it, they can't email their doctor, right? They can't fill a prescription. They can't, unless they go in, but that's always a hurdle and stuff. So even just basic needs becomes so much harder, and folks do feel left behind, and so it's wonderful to be able to see that independence come back to their life through AT. And so this definitely is a device that will do that, and seemingly already does. And so that's quite amazing. We do also, Sterling, as Alice said, great, fantastic company. We've worked with them before. We do have a company in our San Jose location. We have 3 different locations, and Palo Alto, you being on the West Coast, basically Palo Alto's north, a few miles, San Jose's in the middle, and Santa Cruz is a little more down south, but still all in the Bay Area themselves. In our San Jose branch, we actually partner with North State Assistive Technology, and they actually use a space of ours for a showroom that they have, and they have showrooms throughout California. And so look them up. I'm not sure if you've used them before, but we definitely can have hands-on in our San Jose branch for sure, through North State. And so that might be an organization. I'm not sure if you've worked with them before, but that might be.
I have worked with Corey, and he has Splays. So
Perfect.
yeah.
Oh, he
ultimately,
does.
Yes, Corey does have Splays.
Okay.
Wow.
We will
Okay.
email him later today.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, the short version of that story there is he was an early adopter of it before. Essentially, I came on board about a year ago. My background was in the assistive technology, so I really kind of led this into the market to let people understand that this was out there. And Corey was kind of an early adopter. He got a couple units and was like, we'll see how people like it. And so now that I've been out there kind of beating the path and teaching people about this technology and kind of generating that interest. So he is aware of the Splay. I believe he's done a couple units with the state at some point. I believe he has one or two on shelf right now. I think he has 1 or 2 on shelf. I know he has a demo unit. So he will have one that you can get hands on.
Great.
Yeah.
The other thing with that too is the AT team here, we provide Department of Rehabilitation assessments. And so for our low vision DOR consumers, we at times, sometimes it's through Sterling, sometimes it's through North State, but we are able to recommend to DOR what devices we think would be best for the consumer or the client. And it's wonderful that this is an option, obviously, that because instead of a desktop CCTV, it would be this, instead of needing like a portable and a desktop, or needing 2 or whatever, like it, this would definitely be a much easier portable option. And so we have great connections. And so thank you for your time today. Thank you for your knowledge. Thank you for your heart and your service of what you do for the community. And yeah, just on behalf of Vista, just as a whole, I appreciate you and what you're doing. At this time, does anyone else have any other questions? And then again, I do have Taylor's information. Taylor too, for more demos or in person or anything, you can always reach out to Niraj Gupta or myself, and we can definitely set something out. We love to host companies and different organizations doing wonderful things within the community. And so having hands-on is something that obviously a lot of visual impaired folks need to actually feel and get that idea. Yeah, so it would be wonderful to host you here sometime. Yeah, for sure.
I'd love to make it happen. I would like to say before the end of the year. So we'll be in contact about that, because I definitely and selfishly I just love California. So I would love to have a free trip out to Cali personally. I mean, you guys got the sunshine, you got everything out there, the mountains, the beaches, you name it. So anyways, yeah, definitely interested in coming and doing some in-person work so that we can get hands-on, troubleshoot, see how it all works together. And yeah, by all means, I didn't mean to like pigeonhole it all to who you can work with. As far as if you have a company or distributor, or, whoever it is that you're like, this needs to be in their hands so we can get access to it. Like, I will find them and I will make sure they have access. So yeah, you tell me where to go and what to do, and I can figure it out for you.
Our main
Yes.
thing, I think, just with the same as you, is we just want the device in people's hands. It doesn't matter who or how they get it, that if they're able to get it and it is helping them, then that's our main purpose and our main goal. Yeah. So yeah,
So
sorry,
if-
I cut you off.
Yeah, no. I jumped in, but so for like one client I'm thinking of in particular is, and let's see. So I'll talk with Corey, I guess, and ask him if he has one. What I would like to do is take one over to this client. Is there, if he doesn't have one, do we need, should I go through Sterling Adaptive, or how would that work?
So yes, typically
And do they
under
go out
normal
to homes to demo themselves,
yes, as far as I know, they do. And under normal circumstances, I would be able to just get you guys a demo unit. But unfortunately, like I mentioned, since we're making inventory, which this is the last time we're ever going to have to do this, we're a small business. I mean, we're a 3-person team. So like, I'm working my butt off over here to like get this in front of people. So with that being said, after we have this round of inventory, we'll never be in this situation again. So future reference, we can just get you guys a demo unit to have on hand for Vista. But for the time being, Corey should most definitely have a unit. If for
Okay.
whatever reason it's not available or something's going on there, I know Sterling does have 2 demo units available as well. And then if it really came down to it and there was something specific, like I'm willing to fly out there or ship you a unit for a couple weeks to try out, we can chat about it.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for this demonstration. It's great.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yes, thanks, Taylor. Yeah, we appreciate you so much. And for everyone that, again, we're a smaller group, but I think that it was an important group, each and every one of you. And so thank you all for being here. Thank you again, Taylor. We appreciate you and the work that you do and the work that the company does. And a 3-man team, you've got a lot of work still ahead of you, but best to you and the team, and hope that growth is definitely headed your way. So thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, everyone. I hope that you all have a good weekend.